In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Surely I've turned myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright to him who has originated the heavens and the earth, and I'm not from among the polytheists. Surely my prayer and my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and this am I commanded, and I'm of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none can grant protection against faults but thee. And guide me to the best of morals, for none can guide me to the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful. For surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst forever. Ameen. Ameen. You may be seated. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to greet the mighty, mighty people of God this afternoon with the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum. For those who do not know, that simply means peace be unto you. I first want to thank Allah, because without Allah, I can do nothing by myself. I would like to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for allowing me the opportunity to open up. And I would like to thank Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad for the privilege as well. I'm excited to see the youth this afternoon. Are we all? Please give the youth a round of applause. Because as we know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says that it's the Joshua generation who will inhabit the promised land and will bring about change as we fight for the liberation of our people. Is that right? So it is the youth that do not fear the giants, the so-called giants, because of our faith in God himself. So as Jesus said, if we have faith, the grain of a mustard seed, you could say to the mountain, be removed. So our youth have that basic quality to say to any mountain, be removed. And that is what creates the terrible fear in the government, that the right man coming with the right message, connecting with the right people, will bring the spirit to the youth, and he will lead them to where they need to go. And that is who we have in our midst today with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All praise is due to Allah. So we, the youth, the Joshua generation, we will be the ones to secure the future and break away from this wicked enemy. And that's why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is here today. And I cannot thank enough the students at Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark Atlanta for uniting and inviting the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan here today. It is an honor and a privilege. So today also we have in the house the Twitter army. So those who do have phones and you don't mind, the hashtag for today is hashtag FarrakhanATL. We want to make sure the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan goes out to the world. Because as we know, we all tweet at the same time, we can start trending. And the world needs to hear this life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. So without further ado, I would like to thank and as well introduce the Morehouse SGA Select President, Will Chandler. So please give him a round of applause, because these are the students who are responsible for bringing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I leave you as I came before you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Fair? Maybe. Okay. Good evening, or afternoon. My name is Will Chandler. I currently serve as the SGA Vice President for Morehouse College, and I will be serving as the SGA President for the ensuing school year. Today I am here on behalf of Morehouse to let you guys know that we are here out of a collaborative effort of both Morehouse SGA and Clark Atlanta SGA, in an effort to bring this opportunity to students in order to inspire critical thinking, critical thought, and to highlight the importance of leadership and education. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm grateful to have my part in it. At this time, I'd like to welcome Farrakhan Manuel, the SGA president, Clark Atlanta. Thank you.
Greetings. Hello, everyone. My name is Farrakhan Manuel. I'm undergraduate SGA president at Clark Atlanta University. And as Will Chandler stated earlier, we worked in a collaborative effort with Morehouse's SGA, a few brothers and sisters from the Nation of Islam, in order to bring Minister Farrakhan to Atlanta, Georgia to speak to us, the college youth, the leaders of tomorrow, in other words, the Joshua generation. Now, it was a trying process to put all of these things together. We went through a lot of hurdles and loops, but a lot of the students really wanted Minister Farrakhan to come here and speak with us. This is the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March rolling around, so we're at a flagship. We're at a critical moment, you know, in our history, and also the Million Man March was a turning point in the history of Black people in this country. It was a call for Black men in this nation to atone themselves and to become better men, fathers, and so forth. And also, I had the opportunity to hear and to meet with Minister Farrakhan earlier today, and to hear him speak at ITC to some of the pastors of tomorrow. And in that sermon, is that proper to call it a sermon? So in that sermon, so how many of you all go to church or mosque in the audience? That's a lot of church and mosque goers, right? So in that sermon, Minister Farrakhan, being the fiery speaker that he is, he emphasized on it a little more fiery than I am right now, but I like to keep it calm. But he emphasized the importance of the religion staying more to the reality, and you using your religion, your faith, your career, and your influence in the best interests of yourselves and your people, which was a very important message. It was very touching. It was my first time hearing him speak. And when I met with him, I noticed that he did everything with, could someone turn the mic down just a little? He did everything with absolute sincerity. The way that he listened to, you know, what the people in the room, like when we met him privately, he listened to what everyone said and what everyone talked about. He watched everyone's movements, and he was very attentive, you know, to the meaning of your words, and he gave correct responses. He always would give correct responses, and by correct responses, what I mean is that he think over what you said critically, and he'd respond to you. And we want our students to have that same ability and that same eye to realize, you know, what's going on in the world around us. It's not by coincidence that African Americans happen to be at the top of nearly every negative statistic. This one. Okay. It's not by coincidence that African Americans happen to be at nearly the top of every negative statistic in this country. It's not by coincidence that we're incarcerated at the highest rates in this nation, both men and women. We're at the top of all of the STD lists. We're at the top of, we're the most getting diabetes, the most getting AIDS. The most, percentage-wise, we're in poverty more than any other group in this nation. And we've been here a longer time. We've been here just as long as, you know, the white people here. Now, something else that I really want to touch on is, and this is why I brought up Minister Farrakhan's sincerity. I feel like this is a man who's dedicated and made his life's work the betterment of his people and improvement of the condition of Black people in this country who are at the top of the most negative statistics, meaning that we need the help the most. And this is a man who decided to dedicate his life and his mission to actualizing that purpose. So when you have people that have motives that are in line with righteousness, motives that are in line with truth, motives that are in line with bettering the lives of people, your work will be an example of that. So, for instance, if you're a criminal justice major, and this is why we call for this this program to have a focus on leadership and education, because they're not separate, they're actually one and the same. So if you have criminal justice majors, as an African-American person, you know that your people are arrested the most. You're going to come in with a different eye. If your motives are intact, your work is going to reflect that. So your mission is not only going to be to become a police officer and add to the same detrimental system that's disenfranchising your people and funneling them and railroading them into the prison system. You want to go in and find the root causes of why most of your people are going to prison. If you're a doctor, you want to go in and find the root causes that are making your people end up on the top of these negative statistics in the medical field. If you're going to be a teacher, you realize that illiteracy rates are higher amongst African Americans. You're going to go in with the mission to flip that statistic and turn it around the opposite way and make things better. So whatever profession that we're going in, it's crucial that we have a focus on bettering ourselves and bettering our condition. It's not enough to go in and just make a paycheck, because you're actually an accomplice to the issue. And we don't need any more accomplices. There are enough accomplices out there, right? Now also too, Minister Farrakhan, I watch a lot of his videos and a lot of his lectures, his speeches. I've seen him on different panels online, of course, and up until today, and it was a lot better in person. So you all are in for a real treat, and not in the sense that it's just going to be entertainment, but really be critical and take in what he says and evaluate it and weigh it, and use the truth in what's being stated in order to better yourself and enhance your mission. Now, something else that I want to touch on is diet, and people probably looking like, what is he talking about? But when I talk about diet, I don't mean simply the foods that you eat. I mean anything that you take into your body. So your diet in the colloquial sense, most people think it's the intake of food, but it's the intake of anything, because everything that you take into the body becomes you. So the foods that you take into your body, they'll eventually be manifested as, your being. And you're going to, people say you are what you eat. You become those things. The music that you listen to, you eventually start to think those lyrics and you become those things. The people that you spend the most time around, you eventually become those people. So it's really crucial that we add, events like this to our curriculum, to inspire critical thought, to inspire proper motives. And even if you're here as a Christian, like I've talked to a few Christian brothers and sisters, and this is something Minister Farrakhan touched on earlier today as well. One sister told me, I don't know if I want to go. I feel like the minister's going to try to convert me or this, but or I've heard bad things in the news about Minister Farrakhan, or so forth and so on. But I told the sister, well, if you haven't, have you listened to any of his videos? Have you heard the man speak in person? Have you read any of his literature? And she told me no. And my response was for her to actually, take in his actual words and his actual opinions and weigh them for yourselves, because your thoughts are not always the thoughts that are being presented to us on a mass level. So I'm going to now introduce Brother Rashid Ali, who was crucial, more crucial than even our SGAs in putting this event together. And
let's give all those who came before me a warm round of applause. I just got a call that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is on his way, so I'm going to try to make my statements very brief. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, We bear witness to the oneness of God. And we thank him for his many messengers and prophets. We thank him for Jesus and the gospel and Moses and the Torah and Muhammad and the Quran. But out of all three of those men, we're all one. And today we sit as many different religions, but we are all one family. My mother always taught me growing up to say thank you before I even talk about anything. And first, I must thank Allah for blessing me with the heart and the vision to make this a possibility to help his servant. All praise due to Allah. I want to thank him for selecting me to be his vessel, to work through and work around to make this possible. I want to thank all those students who worked on my staff, collecting names for the petition and, going out and, helping make this event possible by telling other students about it. I want to thank my brothers, Will and Farron. I really appreciate you two for taking a stand with me. These brothers, give these brothers around it. They were unafraid to stand with me. And I thank Allah for both of you for standing with me and helping me. When the pressure and the heat was on you, you stuck right by my side. And I appreciate that. Those are real friends. I want to thank our beautiful Southern Regional Representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad, for allowing us to have the mosque, and, he encouraged me. This process was painful. This process was difficult. But this process, through the pain and difficulty, pulled out the best that God had in me. Now I could look in the mirror, and I could see the best that he pulled out in me and put that best foot forward. But Minister Sharif, every pitfall and, stumble, he picked me up. He told me, what, brother, keep going. Keep working. God got his hands on you. And that meant a lot. Because when you're down and you have somebody to reach a hand out and grab you and hold on to you, that's love. I want to thank the laborers of Muhammad's Mosque 15 for all their hard work in helping make this event possible. Please give them a round of applause. Most importantly, I want to thank those who prayed for me, those who took the time out of their days to pray for me to be strong in making this happen. Because bringing a man like Minister Farrakhan anywhere is difficult. Even though our campus of Morehouse did not allow him to come because of, political reasons. Minister Farrakhan, out of the love of his people, still came. And I believe that was the prayers that people prayed for me. And I thank Allah for that. I thank Minister Farrakhan for trusting me. I'll be 20 by the will of Allah in June. And I never imagined, living this long, because being a black man in America, growing up in the inner city, seeing your friends die at 13 and 14 and 15, to say I'm 20 is a blessing. And I thank Minister Farrakhan for trusting me with this task. The minister always puts the young people out front. He didn't discriminate against me because I'm 19, and he didn't think, this brother can't handle this task. He told me, go right ahead. He put me in front. He allowed me to represent him. He allowed me to work with him. And I thank Allah for it. Because my main purpose bringing the minister here is we had a meeting yesterday, and we met with Ludacris was there, and Big Crit and Big Boy and Killer Mike. We sat at the table with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he just gave us divine guidance the whole night. And Minister Farrakhan said the Joshua generation, how could you be a Joshua generation and not know Moses? And I thank Allah that I was put in this place to show you all Moses. This is a man like you've never seen before. This is a man that not only compiled 1 million black men in Washington, D.C., and it was nothing but peace and love, but he's a man that is revered and loved by all of our people. From the hardest of the hard to the softest of the soft. They all love Minister Farrakhan. And it's important for us as young people to hear this man's voice. Because we're at a point in time of our people where we need leadership. We don't need the leadership that comes on campus and tells us to be peaceful and, weak in the face of our oppressors and to accept being oppressed. We need one who can tell us to stand up and be able to acquire for ourselves. We don't need those leaders who tell us to be reliant on our open enemies for 400 years. We need those leaders that are telling us to be independent and feed and clothe yourself. That's what Minister Farrakhan teaches. I'm just happy. I'm just happy. This is beautiful. When the minister was coming, he doesn't ask for no money. He pays his own way. I don't know much leaders who do that. Most leaders will ask for a big check to give you nothing. His message is so valuable that all the money in the world can't equate to what he has to share with us. And he came and paid his own way just to talk to us. That's big. That's heart. We talk about what would Jesus do. Jesus won't ask you for $100,000 just to speak to his people. Okay. And I would like to bring to the rostrum, help a brother out. Brother, student minister, Nuri Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah who intervened in our affairs in the form of a well-made man named Master Farad Muhammad. We thank that one wise, true, and living God for loving the black man and woman here in the hills of North America so much that he would travel 9,000 miles by himself, leave paradise, which means he had everything he needed in his head, heart, and pocket. But he loved the black man and woman so much, so much that he left paradise to come and seek and save you and me that were lost. We thank Allah for his coming among us and for his raising up in our midst the baddest black man that ever walked the face of the earth other than God himself. I'm talking about a Georgia-born black man by the name of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. We thank Allah for that great man, the maker of Malcolm X, the maker of Muhammad Ali, the maker of Abdul Rahman, the maker of Imam Waf Deen, and the teacher and the maker of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We thank Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. His body was made up of the red clay of Georgia, but God shaped and molded his mind and made him into a Jesus walking among us. And we thank the two of them today for preparing in our midst a man that without a doubt is a divine leader, teacher, and guide for us all. Now, I said a divine leader, teacher, and guide. Farrakhan is not some civil rights leader. Farrakhan is not some Negro preacher. You cannot say Frederick Douglass, W.E. Du Bois, Louis Farrakhan. You cannot say Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan. When you say Louis Farrakhan, you got to say Moses, Aaron, Jesus, Muhammad, Job, Solomon, David, and put him in that line of divine, because he is a messenger of God walking among us today. All praises I do to Allah. I don't know about you, but I'm so happy and I'm patiently anxious and awaiting the arrival of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But I want to say this, but as I was sitting there listening to my brother from Clark and Brother Will from Morehouse and the great Brother Rashid, I don't know about you, but it made my heart feel good to see these young soldiers, early 20s. No, they're not walking with their pants sagging. They're not out there talking about what it hit for. These are brothers that are striving hard to make a disciplined choice, to work hard now that they could be a leader of our people in the future. And I would say to all the young soldiers, when you see these kind of brothers, know that they have the same temptations you have. The scripture says it like this: the temptation of yours is likened unto every man. So when you see these brothers that are young, that are willing to sacrifice and push aside the world for the cause of the liberation and salvation of their people, they too see girls like you see girls. They too got stress that calls for the blunt like your stress calls for. But in spite of the stress level, they turn the drug down. They turn the girl down. They leave the party to the side, and they commit their minds to the rise of their people. Let's give our student representatives another round of applause. Y'all are strong. You are committed. We thank Allah for you, mighty brothers and sisters that have made that sacrifice. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that the greatest decision you could ever make while you are young is to choose righteousness of your own free will and volition. Did y'all hear me? Brothers and sisters, you don't have to wait till you get old to be great. Greatness is not locked up inside of some time capsule, waiting on your hair to go bald, or your hair to turn gray, or the areas of your body that once were firm to become less firm. Y'all understand what I'm trying to say? Most of the time, black people, we choose to get right after we get too old to do wrong. Okay, y'all didn't catch that. I said most of us choose to get right after we get too old to do wrong. But of course, with Viagra and Cialis, that is up to date, y'all know what I'm trying to say. But to see young people making up in their mind to make a choice to be right while they're in the prime of their life is a sign of greatness. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that those who choose righteousness while they are yet in the prime of their life are not on the level of a regular human being. No, they have the rank, that of angels. My son, I was talking to my son and I was telling my son, look, son, you got one or two choices. Pay now and play later, or play now and pay later. Y'all looking at me the same way my son looked at me. Because he looked at me and said, well, now and later sound the same. I said, well, look, son, let me explain to you. Now is about 5 years, but later is about 50. Now let's put the math back on it. Play for 5, and you're going to pay for 50. But if you make the choice now while you are young to discipline yourself, to put your passions under the control of a rightly guided mind, to commit yourself to a fulfillment of your purpose for living, and operate with the mind of the grind mind while you're in school, coming out not with a degree that helps you to integrate in the white man's world to uphold this racist system, but to leave school and not become an employee but an employer. To leave school and not become somebody else's employee, but to become your own business owner. Then you can pay now and you'll be able to play for the next 50 years. Are y'all all right? Yes, sir. Beautiful. Now when you come out of school, you're going to have a degree, most of our young soldiers. However, a lot of these degrees are not worth nothing. Not even the paper that they printed on. And whenever you get all your debt stacked up, y'all know you're going to get some debt now. Credit cards is coming. After all the debt comes up, they'll let you file bankruptcy. But you can never walk away and wipe away what you owe Sally Mae and Freddie Mac and them. They're going to get theirs. But what's even worse is that you paid money for the degree. Is that right? Somebody offered and marketed you a product called a degree. Is this true? Well, anytime somebody sells a product, it should come with a warranty or guarantee. That if I go back and use the product and it don't work, I should be able to return it. When you look in this world, plenty of us have walked away with a product called a degree. But when we went out into the world and tried to put the degree in the service, we found out that the degree don't even work. Well, why come we should be able to go back to Sally Mae and say, look, I've tried it out. It don't work. I want my money back. No, I don't want no in-store credit. I don't want to exchange. I want all my money back. And let me go out here and start a business for myself. So I would say, sisters, brothers that are here, old men are for counsel, but young men are for war. And the Bible teaches us that there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heaven. Time for love, time for hate. Time to be born, time to die. Time to sow, time to reap. And there is a time for peace, and there's also a time for war. Well, we are living in the time of war. Well, when you do the mathematics with the old for counsel, young for war, and we are living in the time of war, it's important not just to do something good, but to do good in the right time. Don't you know if you do the wrong thing at the wrong time, that produces a disaster? Even if you do the wrong thing at the right time, they call that a mistake. You can do the right thing at the wrong time and still meet resistance. The only way we could ever be successful is to do the right thing at the right time. Well, if we are living in the time of war and young men and women are for war, then yet that translates in you are living in your time. So don't sit on the sideline, young soldier, talking about the youth got next. If we are living in a time of war and you are made for war, the youth don't have next, the youth got now. But we need that counsel, we need that guidance, we need that teaching, we need that instruction that we can go forward and make that right choice in the modern time. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a man that sets the standard and example of what real leadership looks like. He's a man that has always activated the power of God in young people and believed in them before they even knew how to believe in themselves. Thus you can see a young soldier like the brother Rashid. Thus you can see a cadre of young men and women all over the country that have arisen to be stewards of life and teachers of truth. That's the sign of the greatness of this man that's walking among us today. As a young person, you should not wait till you get old or wait till gray hair shows up to activate your greatness. Greatness is not in a time capsule. Jesus wasn't no old man. When Jesus was putting in work, he was a young man. Is that right? Where's the great brother Rashid? You here, brother Rashid? You ready? Not yet? You're not ready? We just got word that the minister will be here in about 3 minutes. Oh, man. Now listen to me. Can I drop this on y'all before he comes? Look, when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan come, do not treat him like you would treat Hillary Clinton if she came inside of here. Do not show the kind of love you would show for Bill Clinton if he showed up. Whenever he walks in the room and mounts its rostrum, we should be up on our feet clapping with every amount of strength that we have, saying whatever you need to say to let him know that we love you, Farrakhan. We appreciate you, Farrakhan. Thank you, Farrakhan, for standing up for us before we even knew how to stand up for ourselves. Are y'all all right? As a young man and a young woman, when you study history, and the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that out of all of the studies that one can engage in, history is best qualified to reward the researcher. When you study the history of the pattern of greatness, greatness does not manifest itself. Uh-oh, we got the word. Y'all remember what I said now? To bring on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, it is my pleasure and my honor to bring back to the rostrum this young, great soldiers that made this possible. Please receive our brother Rashid Ali, with a great round of applause of love and appreciation for doing the work to make this happen.
Thank you. Now, mic's on. Now this one's for real. He's in the building. This is a man that doesn't need no introduction. I just want to bring him right on. I like to bring on a man who loves our people. Please get on your feet for a man that will give his life for the liberation of black people, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let us receive him.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Him who created the heavens and the earth and all that is between. We thank Him for His prophets and messengers and the scriptures which they brought. We thank Him for Moses and the Torah. We thank Him for Jesus and the gospel. We thank Him for Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, through whom Allah sent down the final revelation to this world that leads us up to and through the judgment of this world, which is now. Neither the Bible nor the Quran enter us into the world that comes beyond the judgment. For both Bible and Quran say that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has it even entered into the heart of any human to perceive or conceive what lies beyond this world. I thank Allah for all of His prophets and messengers and the scriptures which they brought, but I am a student of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I have been taught by a master teacher. who is making me a master. I thank Allah for His intervention in the affairs of the black man and woman of America. For surely we needed someone to intervene in our affairs after our sojourn in America now for over 450 years under the tyranny and oppression of the enemy of God and the enemy of all humanity, Satan himself. I thank Allah for allowing me to meet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I thank him for allowing me to hear a representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Brother Najee, who was the first minister of the Nation of Islam that I heard. Would you stand, Brother Najee? And after I heard him, I think it was on a Wednesday night, I came back on a Sunday and I heard Brother Malcolm X. And I did not need to hear anymore, for I never heard any black man speak like Brother Malcolm X. He was my mentor, my teacher, and I could say without any fear of being misunderstood that at that time I was taught by the finest representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I never knew that one day, however, I would replace my brother as the minister of Mosque number 7 in New York City. I never wanted his place. I always lived to defend him. And if you ever see some of the younger pictures of Farrakhan, you always saw me looking up at Malcolm with a great smile and also looking at rooftops and seeing if anyone wanted to harm my brother, that I might put my body in front of a bullet for my brother. But as in life, sometimes students disagree with their teachers. And unfortunately or fortunately, there came a time when he disagreed with his teacher, which put me in the valley of decision. No child likes to make a choice between a mom and a dad when they clash. It grieves children, and sometimes they never recover from that type of conflict that separates the mother that brought them into the world, and the father whose life germ was used by God to be the agent of their life. It grieved me to have to choose between Brother Malcolm and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But I made that choice. And it grieved me to have to argue with my mentor publicly on the radio and other places, because it's one thing to disagree with your teacher. It's another thing to try to destroy the teacher who made it possible for you to be the great man that you ultimately became. But I thank Allah for Brother Malcolm, and even recently I asked Allah to forgive him, because people today are still coming to Islam because of Brother Malcolm. I'm honored to be here. Did I greet you all yet? And I greet all of you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I want to thank Brother Sharif and the staff of Mosque number 15. I want to thank Brother Rashid, who invited me to Morehouse. And I was so happy over that invitation, because the last time that I spoke at Morehouse was 1979. I was the graduation speaker for the students of Morehouse. It was a different time. I had not become the great controversial fellow that I have become now. And so the great administrative leaders of Morehouse did not feel that I should come to the campus because I'm so controversial. And that would tell you that Jesus would not be invited to Morehouse. Because in his day, there was no one more controversial than Jesus. And the Bible says of him that he was hated without a cause. They had a reason to hate him, but it wasn't justified by the principle of justice. They hated him because his presence meant the end of their civilization. Jesus, the prophet, as Paul saw him, was a man born out of due season. And Jesus, the prophet, who was also our brother, our brother. According to the scriptures, Jesus said, I am the seed of David, the root of Jesse, the bright and the morning star. Jesse was the father of David. David was the father of Solomon, and Solomon